Hey guys, what's up, it's jjaaxxthelegend here. Today, I'm here on the Minecraft Redstone tutorial. And in this week's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys how to build a fully automatic baked potato farm that cooks your potatoes and harvests them for you. So let's go and have a look at it. So as I walk down this path, you can see my villages in this capsule and the villages behind them farming. We've got one farming villager in here and one up the top. And as you can see, he walks over to these villages and drops them some potatoes, which actually go into the hoppers because there's a glass block there. And once it goes into the hoppers, it gets fed around here, where there is an auto smelting system where I can deposit my coal into here, and then it gets put into my hot potatoes chest. Now, this farm has been running for about half an hour, or like half an hour to 45 minutes, and it has already made almost 9 stacks of baked potatoes. Now, that is a lot, and you can see it just went up 1. So this farm is super efficient, and it's also super simple to build. There's almost no redstoning in it. The only redstoning is the bits behind here. So now that you've seen it on this world, on my beautiful farmhouse world, it is time to hop into a redstone flat world so you can see the redstoning that I'm talking about. But there's honestly not that much. Alrighty, I am now in my super awesome redstone flat world, and behind me you can see the automatic potato farm that also smelts it. So the only redstoning in this build is actually behind the smelter, which is the auto smelting system. And there's only 2 bits of redstone, which are both exactly the same. One of them being this dropper system, which sends it into here, which then puts it into my smokers, and you can also replace these for normal furnaces here, which then go into another dropper system, which sends it into the chests at the same level. So that's the only bit of redstone, and the other bits are just hoppers and placements of villages. So this is actually a super simple design. Each layer can use up to 4 villages, so you have 3 in the capsule here, and then 1 farmer. Now you can have 1 in here, but it definitely makes it more efficient when you have 3. Which sounds like a lot, but if you have a villager breeder, you can get them really quickly. And there's a bunch of tutorials on how to build one of those. Okay, before we start the tutorial, I'd just like to point out, you need to either use a villager breeder to get your villager, or get one from a zombie, like a zombie villager, like regenerating one, or a baby. Otherwise they'll have an inventory full of stuff, and these villagers in here can't have any food in their inventory. Because when this villager detects that there's no food in these guys' inventory, he runs over, drops some food, which actually go into the hoppers because there's a glass wall in between here. And then we smelt them, and they end up in this chest here. And we also need these farmers to have an empty inventory as well. If you're in the 1.14 snapshot, you have to get the farmers which have a straw hat. But in the 1.13 update, the latest one other than the snapshot, you can use any brown coat villager in these farms. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get on to the tutorial. For the first layer of this build, because I'm going to be showing you guys how to build the 2-story version of this, I'll also show you how to add more. But for the first layer of this build, you're going to need some dirt, some potatoes, more than 1, a diamond hoe or any type of hoe, 1 water bucket, and 1 slab. Okay, to start, come to the middle of where you want your farm to be and build 3 blocks up using dirt, and then break 2 blocks underneath the 3rd block. Now come 4 blocks from each side, 1, 2, 3, 4, on each and every side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now if you look up here and then count directly across, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you should have 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which I do. So now you can fill in all these corner areas like so, to make a 9x9 square. And once you've done this, come to the center here. You need to work out the center by counting 4 blocks in from each side, and that center block, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the center block there. Break that center block and replace it with a slab on the bottom half of the block, and then place water on that slab. Now, if you're building this in the 1.12 version, which some people might, you can always use a block or a trapdoor here. But I think a slab is much more compact and allows you to walk under your farm. So if I was in the 1.12 version, I could grab out a trapdoor. I might use an iron one just in case I accidentally open it. Place it there and then just break that slab. And you've got some water on your trapdoor. But I'm going to use a slab for this. Now you can grab out your hoe and hoe all of this land. And this is the reason why it's in a 9x9 square. Because water can hydrate up to a 9x9 square of farmland. So boom, there we have our hoed area, and we can now add in the potatoes. Just on every single block. Now if you think the potato texture looks a bit weird, it's not because I'm using any sort of mods or texture packs, so don't be worried. It's just because in the 1.14 update, they've added a whole load of new textures. Like, say these trees look different, the cobble, the diorite, all of this looks different. So that's why these look a bit weird. But if you're in the future and the 1.14 version has been released, you'll recognize these. Alrighty, for the next part, grab out some blocks and some glass, because I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a design kind of like that with the glass and the blocks, maybe not the roof, because I want you guys to be a bit more creative. So, grab out some quartz and place some blocks, or well, it doesn't have to be quartz, and place some blocks at the level of your dirt, like this, surrounding it. Then, place 3 layers of glass, 1, 2, 3. Do this all the way around. Just like that. Once you have done that, add 1 more layer of quartz or any block at the top, and then fill in the roof, leaving 1 hole in the center so you can jump down into the water for some maintenance. And make sure it's in the center so when you jump down, it doesn't break the farmland because you're landing in the water. Now we will fill this hole later in the video, but just for now we're going to leave that there. Okay, so there we have our capsule done. It's time to add in the next part, which is the villager kind of drop-off center type thing. Now come to the front of your farm. Now, it doesn't really matter which side it is on, just the front, where you want the front to be. And then grab out some hoppers, some glass, or the blocks you used in this. I'm grabbing glass and quartz. And then come to the very right corner, the bottom right corner, and then count 3 blocks in, 1, 2, 3. And on that third block, place 4 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, coming out. And then bring this along, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more, and then connect it up and create a square like this. And then add some glass walls going around the edges. So basically making another one of these little boxes here. And then a roof. Now you'll also want to leave a hole here. This one you might want to leave a bit bigger so you can get villagers in. But you'll have to leave it on the very back row because this is the little area the villagers are going to be in, this back row. So just like that. And now you can hop in here, into this little glass chamber, break this row of glass here, then come into your potato farm like this and look into your capsule and count 1, 2, 3 in, and on that third row, place a glass wall like so. So there's a 1x4 area here where your villagers are going to be in. Okay, cool. So now it is time to add in the hoppers and the villagers. To place these hoppers, you're going to want to come underneath this area here, and then find out where the block is that's underneath the glass, that's 2 blocks from this edge. So 1, 1, 2, and then next to this block here, you want to find that block there and break it. So if I go from the inside of our farm, you could even do it this way. You come to, from looking from the inside, you come to the left corner here, and then count 1 more block in, and then the block under the glass straight in front of you, right there, this block here, you need to break. Just like that. And then you need to break all the blocks right in front of there, like that. So you should have this sort of like almost T shape, but if you break it there, it'll turn into a T. Okay, so now grab out a block, a temporary block, and place it right there. Place a hopper going into that, then another hopper going into that hopper. Then place some hoppers all going into each other. So this one right here goes into that hopper, so it all connects up. So no matter which hopper you drop it into, so I'll drop it into every single one of these, it'll all end up in that bottom hopper. Let's have a look at that. Let's see if it goes down there. So if you come down here and all of your blocks are in there, you're good to go. It's time to add in the villagers. Now you can wait until you have completed the farm, or you can do it now. And to do it, you just want to bring a minecart and rail up to the top like this. This is in survival. Just put a minecart and rail up to the top like this, and then push them in using that. So grab out some rails to do this, and some leathers, and just place some powered and some non-powered rails. Say you brought them from the village or your villager breeder, you grab like that, grab a minecart out, put your villager in that minecart. You want around 3. You can do it with just a few, then you just push it in there, shove it in there, and make sure it goes the correct way. Push it that way. It's going to go up your railway and straight into your thing, just like that, and then you can break that. Now it might get a little bit damaged, but not too much. But if you're worried about it dying, just splash an instant health potion. Now you can do that with every single one of your villagers, but because I'm in creative, I'm just going to spawn them there. So let me just do that. So 3 villagers, 1, 2, 3. Now if you get a farmer like that, do not be tempted to push him in, because you don't want the farm to start just yet, because you haven't set up the rest of the system. There's one last thing we need to do before we seal up these villagers, and that is fill their inventories up with seeds. Because farmer villagers only drop food to other villagers if they have no food in their inventory. And by filling their inventories up with seeds, it makes it so this whole farm is glitch proof, and so food can't glitch through, otherwise the farm will stop working because the villager will see that these villagers have food in their inventory. So let's chuck some seeds down. You need 8 stacks per villagers, so that's 24 stacks per 3 villagers. And now, once you have done all this, you can just seal up this roof, like that. Alright, so we've added in these villagers here. They're not doing anything at the moment, but they will be playing a very important part of the role of this farm once we've added that farm room. But we're not going to do that yet. We're actually going to start on the delivery system. So if I fly over here, I'll show you which one. We're going to be starting on this one. So for this one, you're going to need a dropper, some droppers, 2 droppers, 2 comparators, and 2 redstone repeaters. Oh, and some hoppers. Now the amount of hoppers can vary depending on if you bring it a long way away or if it's just next to it. So just grab those materials and head over to this hopper here that's going into your temporary block. And then walk up to that temporary block, and next to it, counter block 1, and then another block 2. And then place your dropper going up into the sky, and then 1 more going up. And then place some hoppers going into that the bottom dropper, then another hopper going into that other hopper, which goes into the dropper, then 1 more hopper that goes into that hopper, which then goes into another hopper, which then goes into a dropper. That sounded confusing, but it really isn't. So just a hopper chain going into this bottom dropper here. Now walk behind this dropper and place a redstone comparator coming out of the bottom dropper, going into a temporary block. You're gonna need that as well, so I'm gonna use some. What color concrete is beautiful? What about some purple concrete? Going into a temporary block, which I'm gonna be using purple concrete. Coming out of that, place a redstone repeater, which goes into another comparator, which is turned on by right-clicking it, and then surround that in redstone like so, and then point it towards this dropper here using a redstone repeater going straight into it like that. So when you chuck any item in there, so let's say we chuck in 16 purple concrete, it should instantly just get spewed up at the top. Just like that. Let's just grab that all together. So that's how you test that it's working. If it does that, we're ready to go on to the next bit. Alrighty, for this next part, we're going to be building the smelting system. So for this part, you're going to need quite a few hoppers, so a smelter of some sort, so you can use a furnace or a smoker, depending on what version you're in, and some chests. Now they've got all those materials, come to the side of this dropper here that has a repeater on it, and stand on that repeater, and count 6 blocks over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on that 6th block there, count 3 blocks up. 1, 2, 3. just like that. Now these blocks you're going to destroy, but not yet. Now place a hopper going into that top third block, so count 3 blocks up, and then create a hopper chain leading it back over to this dropper here. Now you can break these temporary blocks. Then place 2 hoppers going down on the very last 2 hoppers. So like this, right underneath it, place 2 hoppers going down, which are then going to go into our 2 smelters. So these could be furnaces or smokers. Then place 2 hoppers going into the face of these smokers, just going straight in with a chest on. Now you can label this chest coal using a sign or an item frame, because this is where the coal is going to be inputted. So there's basically the smelting system. We just have to work on transporting it to our other chest. For the item transportation system, the last bit of this item thing before we add in the villager for the first level, you're going to need some redstone dust, some hoppers, some droppers, some redstone comparators, some redstone repeaters, some chests, and some building blocks. Okay, to start, come to the right side of your right side furnace, so this one right here, the one furthest away from your farm. Come to the right side of that, and then count 2 blocks away, 1, 2, and on that second block, break it, place a dropper going into the sky, and then 1 more dropper on top of that going into the sky. Then walk straight forward, so you're walking behind your smelters, so where this redstoning is, and break that block and place a comparator coming out of the dropper, which goes into a block. You can leave that there, just a ground block there, or you can replace it with your building block. And then place a redstone repeater coming out of that block, going into a comparator, which you turn on by right clicking it. Then surround that redstone comparator in with redstone like so. And then bring that redstone right over to this dropper and feeding it via feeding the redstone into the dropper using a repeater like that. Now come 2 blocks over from this repeat here, 1, 2, and place 2 blocks right there, just like so. And then place 3 hoppers going into that, making a hopper chain that goes into that block there. Then you want to break that and break this 3rd hopper here, and then come 1 block out of it, so place a block there instead of a hopper, and come 1 block, then place a 2 chests here like so on top of that block, and then place a hopper going into that chest. So it's 2 hoppers going into each other, then 1 hopper going into a chest. Now you can make this go for a lot further or a lot shorter. You can just make it straight on next to it, but I like to have a little bit of a space between it so I have room for a light. Now come around to the back of your build, and straight underneath these furnaces or smelters, break the blocks like so, and then break the blocks behind that as well, so you've got a 2x6 square, rectangle not square, and then place some hoppers going into that bottom dropper, which then go under your smelters, like that. Then you can fill in these blocks, or you can leave them there, either way, because I don't think you'll be able to see that, but if you do want to see that, I would fill that in. So there is basically the entire system completed. So if I grab out some coal, just to test this, you don't have to do this, and some, let's say beef, or potatoes, whatever. I chuck a few bits of beef in there, it should get sent up, put into the smoker, and if I chuck some coal in here, it'll get cooked. And once it's been cooked, it'll be sent into the system here, which you'll be able to see, and into this chest. Now you might be wondering, but Jax, that beef went straight into that smoker there and not that one. Well, this is because once this smoker and this hopper get filled up with potatoes, which is very likely because furnaces don't and smokers don't cook like super fast, it'll stock up and then go on to the next one till this one and this furnace or smoker is filled up and this hopper is filled up, then to the next one. So if you've got like a 9 high farm or 9 high version of these, you might want a few of these smokers. So now I'm just going to take that beef out and that coal. So you can, may I suggest labeling this now with a sign or something. So you can grab out a sign, you can just name it coal, just like that. And then this one over here is your tater tots. Or as we call it down here in Australia, we call them potato gems. Which I think apparently is really weird for all the Americans. Alrighty, so we have done this transportation auto smelting system that fully works, and we've added these villages here. Now, for the final thing for this layer here, is to add in the farmer villager. Now, if you want to just do one layer, this is the end, but I'm going to be showing you guys how to hook up 2 layers and how to hook up the rest. So, let's add in that village now. There are multiple ways you can do this. One is by just carting it in by the side using a minecart, which is a very easy way for survival. Or you can just spawn him in here if you're in creative, or if you want to cheat. But I'm just going to be using a little thing like this, and I'm going to be punching off the villagers that I don't want. So let's see if I get it lucky first try. Nope. So I'm going to cut to once I've got the farm villager, because this may take a while, and I just need to dig a hole here. Okay, let's cut to once we've got a farmer villager. Alright, so I've got my farmer villager, and he's inside of my capsule. You might just bring him up using a minecart, but you might have one of these capsules on the ground and getting ready to bring him up with a minecart. Now, there is no preparation that you need to do before you let him farm, but I definitely suggest you wait for all of the potatoes to grow. And if there's like one here that you didn't place because you forgot to, or you broke, you can just borrow me real quickly. Just like that, and you can see that he's already eager to farm, so I can now break this and let him go free and run in. So if we do this, he's going to run in, just push him in, and he'll start farming. Now, before we block up that hole that we built here at the top, we want to come down here, on top of the water source, we want to place one block of like lantern. It could be a sea lantern, glowstone, jack-o'-lantern, or you can place some of the new lanterns on top of the roof here, or put in some solid blocks on the side here if you want to. They don't look the best, but you can do it, and place some lights on them. So now that you've done that, you can come up and block that up, and you should be ready to go and farm. So as you can see, he just did that, and he's going to plant it back. So now it's time to move on to the second story. Alrighty, for the next layer, you want to do exactly the same thing you did at the bottom with all these things except for the hopper system. So to start, just put an edge around this build like this, because we're going to add an edge and then place some dirt in. So just add an edge, and then you want to place your dirt in the places where you want your dirt to be. So in the 9x9 square, not in that little room we have on the outskirts of it. So we want to place our dirt just like this. And once we get to the middle area, is right there. And place our slab and place some water, then surround that with dirt. And just keep on going, and then you want to hoe all this dirt and place some potato seeds in it. So we're repeating exactly the same thing that we did at the bottom with the farm as we did at the top. The only difference will be the hopper system. And the hopper system that I'm doing on the second story here, you can repeat it on every single other story. So just hoe all of this dirt and then plant some potato seeds. So I'm going to cut to once I've done this. And also you want to build up the walls the same way. So 3 glass and then 1 more at the top. Okay, I have planted my potatoes and all of that. Oh, one just grew right there. And I've also added the walls, but I haven't added the floor in this little room, because I'm going to be adding the hoppers with you. Now, so what our goal is with the hoppers is to somehow connect it up to this hopper line here. We don't have to connect it up to this dropper, we can just connect it straight to the hopper line. So the way we do that is building a hopper chain, hopper tower going upwards until it hits about this level here. But the hoppers aren't going to be aligned with there, so we have to move it across and over one. Just like that. You could do that at the bottom, you can move it over and then go up, or you could do it this way. And then you want to place another hopper going down into that one you've moved across if you've done it at the top. Then you want to come on the inside, break that block, and add a hopper line going straight across the floor. And then you can add the floor in, just like this. So if I say drop some, let's get a potato and drop it in there. Because it's a potato farm. Of course we have to drop a potato in there, test it out. It should go straight into here, and we shouldn't see this clock turn on because it's not going into there, but we should see potatoes passing through and being put into these smokers. And because I haven't added any coal in there, the potatoes farmed by him are getting just sitting there. So let's add some coal in there so we can smelt them. This should be enough for a while. So now I've added that in. You can see that is completely hooked up, so you can do this in any way you want. But now, when you're doing the next story, instead of hooking it up to there, and do it like building this up and then moving across one, you can just build it up here. and then say hook it up to there like that. So you basically do what I've done on this story here, on the next story, going upwards and upwards as high as you want. So it's very simple. So now you need to add in the glass here, 1 block in front of these hoppers, and then your villagers in here. Alrighty, I filled these up with these villagers' inventories up with seeds, and these ones as well. So now I can add the roof onto this and chuck in my farmer, and off he will farm. Now, like I said before, you need to make sure you've got a lantern in there, so the light level is as high as it can be, so they grow faster. So you can put in a sea lantern, a glowstone, some torches, whatever floats your boat. You can even put some on the ceiling, whatever. So let me just do this, and then I can add in my lantern in the middle. So if you grab some glowstone, you can just chuck it on top of this slab right there. I'm actually going to use sea lanterns because they're more modern. Just like that, more modern and futuristic, which is kind of what the style of my build is. And you can see it's lit up, and we have to add in the villager now, so I'm also going to have to, well, let's see if we can get it first try. Okay, I finally got one, and I'm pushing him in. Oh, and he will just run in. And so now he's there farming away, and once he has a full stack of his inventory, he'll run over and give them that stuff. And it'll all go through our system, and we'll get some cooked potatoes. And as you can see, we've already got almost a stack, and we've got that staking from before. So there you have your fully automatic. You don't need to do anything other than supply the coal. Completely automatic potato farm. And if you would like to see how to do a wheat or watermelon farm, there'll be a link in the description for both of those. Okay, I am now in my overworld, and behind me I've got my automatic potato farm and my automatic sheep shearer that I did in an earlier video. And before I wrap up the video, I've got one last thing to say. If you're looking for a super reliable villager breeder, I would highly recommend Philios version of it. The link for that will be in the description down below. So, that's going to be the end of this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like, comment, and remember to subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys later. Peace. And remember, stay carbonated and potato-weighted.